Before I got put on hold, I was talking about basically a guru that people pay money to. Basically, he looks into your soul all creepily, and it's supposed to heal your cancer. It's supposed to heal your mental problems. It's supposed to get you closer with the Lord or whatever. And yeah, I was basically saying that it's a very clear illustration of how desperate people are to hold on to an absolute answer.
Yeah.
What would you have to say about that?
Not knowing things is uncomfortable. My understanding is that our mind works in many ways on a series of carrots and sticks, and understanding things is something that our brain rewards us for, and not understanding things is something that our brain makes us feel uncomfortable about. So if someone hasn't and being wrong about things is something that our brain makes us feel uncomfortable about, so that we're motivated, evolutionarily were our ancestors, etc., to find the correct answer and operate on that and not be wrong. But like many things that develop through a process of evolution, it perhaps was not, intelligently designed such that it didn't have flaws. I don't know. Have you touched on this topic already?
Yeah, well, I've actually heard of the guy that he's bringing up, and it is very uncomfortable to watch because people are just like sobbing as he stares into their eyes a little bit, and it's just. I think it's, honestly, it's a great example of like the power that our own psychology has of like, if you believe that this man is going to cure you, he's going to make you feel so, he's going to make you feel all the emotions, he's going to make you, happy and know all the answers, and you go in believing that, as soon as that man starts staring at you, like, if you believe it hard enough, it's going to start happening. And it's not necessarily that he's actually doing anything, it's just really the power of our own psyche, which is really fascinating, but, not really an act of God.
Yeah, it's the sort of, we have the things that we do affect how we feel way more than we give them credit for. And way less than we give them credit for as far as affecting things out in the world, like curing cancer.
I have one more question. Do you think this type of manipulation is prevalent with kind of a multitude of different things? I want to bring up ancient aliens as an example. What would you have to say about that? I mean, there's pseudo history and whatnot, of course, but it's the same type of emotional manipulation, in my opinion. It's appealing to an already held down belief. It's kind of illogically concluded.
I mean, not necessarily. So I know people who did not have any ideas about this, who had a significant interest in history, who began watching Ancient Aliens, are now think differently about the history of the human race on Earth. Watching people start to believe things that I think are uncredible has been one of the less pleasant experiences in my life.
Right.
So I would say it's not necessarily appealing to someone who already believes that there are aliens, that aliens created, chipmunks, or gave us all technology because humans are useless and helpless, blah, 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 or that transdimensional aliens are feeding information to globalists, and that's why they're engaged in this conspiracy to control society and facilitate false flag, blah, blah, Alex Jones exists. But, I don't think that necessarily the show was created for them. I think particularly Ancient Aliens is created with a profit motive, and that it appeals to a kind of human desire to find things out, right? When you discover, in air quotes, that the world is actually controlled by a conspiracy of aliens, you've learned something that, if it were true, would be, foundation changing and fantastic. And it's like getting a really strong hit of dopamine, right? And so, as a skeptic, I'm borrowing this language, but as a skeptic, you kind of have to be a narc. and tell people, no, evidence would be good. And it's fun to be persuaded by things like that, right? It's the watching the video that persuades people, and then watching the debunking video, and you can get that hit twice, actually. But yeah, no, people believe things for bad reasons. Skepticism is hard. It takes effort. It takes research. Research is hard. One source means nothing.
Right. Like the guru I was speaking of earlier would lure people in with his sob story of his past and whatnot. I believe it's the same method of trying to convert. I wasn't necessarily saying that it just appeals to people who already believe it. I was just merely stating, if you do happen to already believe it, you're going to think it's the best thing on the planet, I mean, the flat Earth thing, I mean, nobody really believed that until recently, I believe. It's been kind of
someone
booming.
did.
There's always one.
Yeah, there's lots of, do you really believe we're on a ball? That just does not make sense. It's the kind of Chewbacca defense.
I mean, my big metric is how much harm is it causing? Because, like, flat earthers, if they want to believe the Earth is flat, I mean, they're wrong, but, they're not going to go out and, like, fight someone about it. Well, they might, but not physically, hopefully. But if they're not hurting anyone, then I'll still argue with them, but I'm less concerned about it than maybe the guru guy who's telling people he'll cure their cancer by looking at them. So my big metric is how much is it hurting somebody is about how much I care about trying to dissuade them from that opinion.
A lot of those conspiracy theories, though, they promote distrust. And a lot of scientific communities and whatnot, and the government and whatnot, and it kind of promotes the idealistic mentality of acting out on a terrorist ploy. If you're not trusting anybody that actually has knowledge of things, you're able to interpret that with any type of weird philosophy you want, because you're just lying about reality at that point. And you can basically take advantage of people like that and sucker them into anything. That's the danger of it. They might not be hurting people, but eventually they could get suckered into somebody that wants to.
I mean, I might have to push back on you a little bit on that, because I think that the kind of person who's going to go out and do something terroristic, drastic, because of some ridiculous belief was going to do that regardless of what belief they're using to justify that action. I don't think that somebody's going to suddenly believe that shape-shifting lizards are running the government, and then suddenly that's what gives them the catalyst to go out and do some kind of horrible thing. I personally feel like if somebody is inclined to do that, they'll find a belief that justifies them doing that. Not necessarily the other way around. But I mean, that's not to say that you're absolutely wrong. I'm sure there's somebody out there who found some ridiculous belief and decided to do something horrible because of it. But there's always one.
I'd like to add the caveat that
chain reaction.
Well, what were you saying, Damon?
It provides a chain reaction of stupid beliefs, and the stupider, the more dangerous.
Yeah, I mean,
that's merely all I was saying.
Yeah, I agree.
Of course, I'll already do it.
I would say in slight disagreement, or at least caveat to what you said, is that there are certainly people that even if they were indoctrinated or subjected to that, wouldn't go through with that, right? There are people who have sufficient empathy that murdering another human being because they're gay or whatever, or beating their children with a stick isn't something that happens regardless of what you tell them. But there's a certain level of violent childhood indoctrination, particularly combined with unbelievably oppressive sexual repression. There are ways that you apply pressure to a human's mind that can affect what their normal behavior would be. But for the most part, yeah, whether or not I don't think we're going to see any flat Earth terrorists, if that's what we're talking about. But you can encourage people to believe dangerous things. if not, I mean, terrorism is a bit extreme, but convincing someone that vaccines are going to kill their children, or I'm sorry, give their children autism. I didn't want to misspeak and misrepresent the misrepresentation there. But yeah. But did you do team debates at all?
Yeah, I did debate
Sorry
in
to
high
knife
school.
you. But yeah, sorry. What were you saying, Damon?
I do agree that they'll already do those things. It's just we kind of need to weed out as many of these weird justifications as we can.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Skepticism.
I will never defend somebody's right to believe the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I just tend to prioritize certain wrong things over other wrong things of what I am more concerned with getting rid of.
Yeah.
Dissuading somebody of that belief.
The guy who now makes, I don't know what you call a flat Earth globe, but basically that.
The disc?
Yeah. I mean, but like
the Earth's vinyl.
The Earth, yeah. The vinyl Earths with the domes on them or whatever has a business, and I don't really, they don't have bombs in them or anything, so I'm fine, right? The belief that people should be thrown off buildings, I have a bigger problem with. Yeah. Also, I actually, I find the phrase "right to believe," even just that phrase, problematic.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, because that's not how rights work.
No.
But, it's common parlance. All right. Damon, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, that was mainly it. I just wanted to really paint an illustration of how dangerous this stuff is. And it's not just with, the Christian faith or Islam. Anybody can really take advantage of these emotions. And
it's not just with religion.
It can change the effect. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
All righty. Well,
all right, cool.
You guys have a great day.
You too. You know our social media, and we appreciate your call. Call back in if you find more danger.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Bye.